All right, let's do this thing. I hope you all are having a wonderful day today. Father Fish is in the wind. Somebody go check the ditches near his shop, see if maybe he's collecting some fish or something. I'm sure he will be with us shortly. I'm going to run through here and say some hellos real quick. First up, as far as I could see back, anyways, is Lefty3213A. We've got Chris John, Bill Witt, Flynn's Fish Forum. Hello, good to see you all. A lot of good conversation. J Dog is here with us, of course. Chevy Fish, Big J's Fish Keeper, and rolling on through Pug's Tanks, formerly Pugimus Maximus. Excuse me. Psychedelic Hippocampus Muppet 929. Guppy Guru is here. And Sandy Dowdy is with us. Chewy LTD, glad to see you. Okay, there we go. For some reason, my chat decided to freeze on me. Zen Ginger, hello, hello. I appreciate you all being here. My Facebook was frozen on 72 minutes left. Zen, thank you for posting all the links. I really do appreciate it. I feel like I missed somebody coming down through here. I hope not. If I did, my apologies, but I think I caught everybody. Gotta pause this right here. And if anybody sees Father Fish, let me know. I'll throw the link out in the chat. I sent him an email, but you never know what's going to happen. Carrie Hevercorn, I appreciate you being here. I hope you all are having a great day. Chris, again, I'm glad you're safe. I'm sorry to hear about your car, but I'm glad everybody is all right. Of course, Shy Gal Miss Fever is with us. Thank you for being here as well, Miss Fever. So, in lieu of Father Fish, no pun intended, which I'll send him another message and see what's going on with him. But we got to keep the show rolling, right? So, Dang Tanks is with us. Zen Ginger with the $2 super sticker with the big red arrow saying she is here. Zen, I appreciate you. Always glad to have you in here. Not just for the super chats, but, you know, you're cool to hang around with and you do a lot of work as a moderator. So thank you for that as well. Boom. There we go. So one of the things I wanted to talk about today, and I'm sure Father Fish will chime in. Like I said, you never know. He may have had something happen at the shop. He may have gotten busy at the moment because last I talked to him yesterday, everything was still good. But I wanted to kind of get a census going from the chat on who all has done the dirted aquariums so far. What sizes you all decided to go with and how they're working out for you. So I have got, this does have sand behind me, but it's not actually a dirted setup. I have got 220 longs currently that I have got dirted, and I'm really liking it. The only issue that you do come across with is, of course, the depth. By the time you get that layer of dirt in there and then put a nice sand cap on it, Lefty said, what is going on with my YouTube? It randomly switched to your LFS stream from last week. I don't know. YouTube can be funny sometimes, we'll put it that way. I had a couple videos I had to go back through and get reapproved because they got monetization dings on them where I guess the computer saw something and said, oh, that's not appropriate for all advertising. I was like, oh, no, there's nothing in there. So double checked them and sent that in, and they said, hey, it's fine. You're good for advertising. So you never know. Guppy Guru is saying smash the like button. Thank you. Pug's Tank saying no dirted tanks for me. Chris John saying I plan to go dirted for my 75, maybe my 20 if I go get one. 75 is a really good size to do that. You've got plenty of depth to be able to. I had a 100-gallon at one point that was dirted, but I didn't do it right. Hello, Vanoxky's Tanks. Appreciate you being here. And that actually got me away from doing dirted tanks for a while, just because I had to reseal that tank. I got it set up, and then the seam popped about that much of it from the top. You could see air in the actual seam of it. So I had to pull everything out, reseal it, and reseam that side. And after having to dig all the dirt out, I said, I'm not fooling with that ever again. But then I came back and decided to give it another try, and I really, really love it. The fish stay super happy. I could take out the air stone or the sponge filter and just let them run all natural, but I haven't quite gotten up the nerve to do that just yet. It's, I don't know. I could do it. I just haven't. The Zen Ginger with the $20 super chat says, Mr. Zen said to tell you he's sorry he can't be here today, work and stuff, but he wanted me to tell you and Shy hello with a big blue heart. Zen Ginger, thank you. Mr. Zen, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Give Mr. Zen my love, Zen. And we'll pop that off there. Half it got stuck. There we go. But thank you very, very much. I really do appreciate that. Zen Ginger and Mr. Zen, you all are awesome. That's one of the things that I'm going to be doing today, speaking of the Zens, is I'm going to move a couple of zebra plecos over to the new, I guess, location, you could say, into the new tank, into the final setup, to see how they like it. And then there will be, of course, the other ones still in one of those dirty tanks that I just mentioned, just kind of hanging out. They really enjoy being on that sand and/or fishing inside. Hello, good to see you. V-Stag, appreciate you being here. Carrie Havercorn said, I would love to try a dirty nano tank. I think that, I mean, it's really, really cool. I really do enjoy it. Not having to fool with it as much, I guess is the best way to put it. And they look nice. They do. I'm really was not necessarily a huge fan of sand for a long time in terms of the substrate, but it has really grown on me. The plants really enjoy it. The fish do really, really well in the dirted setups. So a huge thank you to Father Fish for giving me that push to get back at it, give it a try, and actually do it correctly. Fantastic Freaks with $5 super chat says, a Monday stream, yes please. Haven't tried dirt in a tank yet, but I have heard it can be a dream for live plants though. Yeah, the live plants really, really love it. And I have, well, first off, thank you very, very much for that. I appreciate it. Before I move on to talk about that a little bit more, and boom. I still feel like that's really, really loud in the mic, but nobody's yelling at me just yet. So thank you, Fantastic Freaks. I enjoyed hanging out in your live stream the other day. That was a blast. Besides, of course, the benefits of the plants that you've got actually planted and rooted and going down into that dirt, I find that the like floating plants or rhizome plants, things that are water column feeders, tend to do a lot better. And I'm assuming that's because you don't have the rooted plants fighting whatsoever to pull any of that nutrient out of the water column. That's just my observation. But I have found that even though, of course, the dirted tanks, you know, like your floaters and your rhizomes are not down in the dirt, they still seem to grow a lot better in those environments. And I guess it's because you're getting closer to nature. Dank Tank says, I need a Father Fish dirted combo. It's good stuff. It really, really is. We say, all right. Ginger said, it's fine, not too loud, but I'm wearing headphones, so maybe get a consensus. And see, and I'm wearing headphones, so I don't fully hear it because I don't have the sound coming back through to me in the headphones. So I always get conscientious about it, though. Then asking how the weekend off was for Peter. Yeah. Sorry to everybody that I wasn't hanging out as much yesterday in the chats. I was not feeling well. I kind of just laid out on the couch and watched TV, did the minimal fishy requirements that I needed to do, and tried to say hello at least to a couple people. Chevy Fish says, if you want, I will call Farther Fish. If you wanted to, that's perfectly fine. I probably should have called him when he wasn't on right before, but I've had him just kind of pop up, you know, not midstream, but right at the last moment. So I wonder if we should do that. We'll give him a couple more minutes if he hasn't joined us. I hate to to bother him, but he may have just forgotten. Like I said, I know yesterday, last I spoke to him, everything was still well. So really, it more worries me that everything is all right with him. Lefty32138 says, I've got 4 dirted tanks now, 5 gallon and under. I like them. I've not gone that small on the dirted ones yet. So I'm glad to hear that those are working out well for you. I don't know, how do I every time I've done a smaller tank, I've had a very specific planted substrate that I wanted to use, or that was gifted to me, or things of that nature. So I've not tried the nano dirted. I think that is an awesome idea, and I'm glad that it's working out well for you. No reason that it shouldn't. So really glad to hear that. Several people saying not too loud. All right, perfect. Glad to hear it. And of course, every week my mic is positioned just a little differently. So it's always like, oh, is that, being swung an extra inch over this way going to mess with things? Guppy Guru paddleboarded on the new, is that party boat from my birthday? The new paddleboard. There we go. Carrie Havercore with $5 super chat says, your tank looks gorgeous behind you. Thank you very much. This is, if you're familiar with Sand Creek Aquatics, Nathan, who is a big part of the fish fam, Ed and I, long story short, but when we went down and helped his wife with his tanks and move some things, I ended up with his angelfish. So I added them to my angelfish. And so this is my kind of in memory of Sand Creek's Aquatics setup. And he always liked to look at the angelfish behind me when I live stream. So his are in there now as well. And it's one of my favorite tanks. And one of the main reasons that I'm still streaming in this particular spot in the house is so that I can have it back there behind me. So thank you very, very much, Carrie. I appreciate the $5 super chat, and I'm really glad you like the tank. And I'm going to move that mic back where I had it. Hopefully, we're going to do this. Hey, there's Father Fish. Boom, Father Fish. I will drop a link in the chat for you. I sent you an email, but I'm not going to send you running after an email. Paste. There we go. Yeah, Lefty3213. It says, there's the man of the hour. Father Fish had a window fall out. Oh, no. And let me get this wonderful man up here.
Hey.
Hey, Father, how are you?
I've got chaos over here. We've just had one catastrophe followed by another.
And honestly, that's what I was afraid of when you weren't here. I said, well, it's probably something has gone awry, and I don't want to bother him if he's got chaos and madness going on. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I got somebody fixing it, so we're good now, I think.
All right. Well, I appreciate that.
Until that thing happens.
If you do need to take off, I completely understand. Just let me know.
I think we're good.
Alrighty, so we have been talking about dirted tanks, of course, because that was one of the topics for today.
Yeah, I saw that.
Several people have tried the nanos. We've got some people wanting to try the nano tanks. 5-gallon tanks, little bitty tanks doing dirted. The other Tiffany here, let me get my other chat pulled back up because now I'm lost in the StreamYard chat. Where did that go? The other Tiffany says, I'm trying to understand the expensive aqua soils. What is the point if they only last about a year?
Yeah, I saw that comment.
If I plan a tank, it is for long term. I don't want to tear down and redo. Absolutely.
Okay, right. Absolutely. She's absolutely right. Here's the key. By creating a natural tank, what you're creating is an environment in which everything is recycling. So the waste that's being produced by the fish and the dead plants is going down into the soil very slowly so that in a year's time, it replaces what you initially put in. So if you get this cycle going, it will continue year after year. That way, the waste will continuously be precipitating into the deepest part of the substrate, breaking down and being taken up by the plants as nutrition. So it is permanent, even though the soil you put in initially is used up in about a year. All you're really doing with that is kick-starting the system. Does that make sense?
It does, absolutely. And now here's where I get in trouble with the name brands. Fortunately, I'm not sponsored by anybody. Do you see any validity to, like she's talking about, the expensive aqua soils? You know, you go out and you pay 20, 30, 50 bucks for a bag of, you know, aquarium aqua soil versus going with just your, like the dirted sand capped. Yeah.
I don't. I don't. Now, having said that, I don't believe I've ever used any of the commercial products. So I can't say they're better or worse.
Gotcha.
Because I don't use them.
Fantastic Freaks. I'm going to grab this super chat real quick. I didn't mean to interrupt you there. I was saying, favorite kind of angelfish, loved by Marble Angels. Thank you, Fantastic Freaks, for the $2 super chat. Hit this party popper. There we go. My favorite angelfish is actually the blue pinoys. I don't have any, but I love the blues. I think they're really, really beautiful fish. If you were to ask Miss Fever, she would say the dusky rose. That one right in there. That's her favorite. They're really hard to get a hold of. Marbles are gorgeous, though. So thank you for the $2 super chat again, Fantastic Freaks. And yeah, angels are pretty. Father, do you have a favorite angel fish?
Huh.
Do you have a favorite kind? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I do, but it's kind of hard to come by. Andres Ryan of Bioaquatics is raising albino longfin pearl scales. And when they're done right, which is not usually, they're spectacular. Unfortunately, they tend to fail if they're not really bred properly. We had the window fall out.
Shit.
Yeah, Rick, we're getting some screws in it. We need to screw the end in. Frank's working on it.
Okay, he does that when he asked me for the screws.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, albino longfin pearl scale angel. That's my favorite.
It just sounds like a beautiful fish.
Oh, it really is. I don't know if they're. I don't know if they're. Can I do a share screen?
It won't let you from that end, but if you've got something you want me to pull up, I can search it and pull it up. Or if you drop a link in the chat, I can click on it and share it.
Let me see if I can find one.
Fantastic Freak is saying, I've also got the blue diamond platinum angels that have grown beautifully. Those sound like
nice.
Really nice.
Really pretty.
Now I've got one pearl scale, and it just happened that way. I was at it was actually at the Big Fish deal when I was clearing out some of their fish tanks at the end, going, "Hey, how much for everything in that tank?" They ended up having one pearl scale left in the tank. And so I ended up bringing it home. There we go. They're mad at me. I usually don't poke the tank that much without giving them a little something to snack on. But again, that goes back to training your fish and not letting your fish train you.
That's it. That's the name of that song.
Yep. Teach them to say hello to you, not just to expect food all the time.
I don't see any good pictures. It's a very uncommon fish. But it looks like Andres is going to have some. He's got a number of really nice looking adults, breeders.
I will have to keep an eye out for those because that sounds like a really, really beautiful fish. So Lefty, and I'm sorry, Lefty, I'm gonna disagree with you ever so slightly with saying there is some potential for it. But Lefty says if I can grow plants fine in the inert gravel, I don't see a need for aqua soil. I think they are a marketing gimmick personally.
He wants to grow. Where's the comment?
Let me see if I can pop it up on here for you. Well, where did you go? This StreamYard chat is so far behind on. There we go. I'll pop it up on the screen.
Oh, I got it.
I got it. Okay.
Inert gravel. Well, okay. Here's what I have to say about that. I don't know what he means about inert gravel, but if by inert gravel he means clean, washed gravel, then he is not growing plants in it because there's no nutrition there. And to grow in gravel, you've got to have it a minimum of 4 inches and preferably 6 inches deep in order to get it deep enough to create an anaerobic layer. Without anaerobics, you're never going to grow stem plants, rooted plants.
Now, I think you can. I think they're not going to be as successful potentially, but I use this tank for an example. It is gravel, but it's not inert in the sense that it's no longer clean, rinsed gravel. It is gravel that is full of decomposed fish poo, I guess is the best way to put it.
Detritus, sure.
Yeah. So, and the plants do, my Val does really well in that. But I never gravel vac it. I leave the substrate alone. I don't fool with it. I let it live its own life. Yeah.
That's right. And what happens is that dirt, the roots pull the dirt together and they create an anaerobic pocket. That's where you see that dirt down under the gravel kind of piled together. It's an anaerobic pocket that is breaking down waste. Same thing will happen in an under gravel filter. It'll create a pocket, an anaerobic pocket that oxygen cannot permeate. So it can be done in gravel. It's done vastly more easily in sand.
Absolutely. Now, if you've got, because I know one of the things behind, when you first, and you've told the story, when you were looking at, dirty tanks, recommending them for beginners because it's something to keep new people in the hobby that's fairly easy to set it and forget it. Do you have a preference or a recommended tank size, I guess? What would be your recommended setup? I'm brand new to the hobby, of course, within reason, which I know you would go with and not say, oh, we'll get a 220, but yeah.
A 10-gallon is doable, but it's a little trickier. I would go with a 20 and up. 20-gallon, 29-gallon, 35-gallon, 55-gallon. So a good starter tank. I like to try to get people going with at least a 20-gallon tall, not a 20 long, but a 20 tall, and then get an inch of mud and 2 inches of sand.
There we go. Of course, I have to go against the grain on everything, and my first one was a 20 long, so it's kind of short, but it works out well for what I've got going in there.
I personally I prefer the 20 long for husbandry reasons. Mm-hmm. It's better to keep fish in, but for a beginner, and that was your caveat, yes, for a brand new beginner, a 20 tall as a minimum. And a lot of them will want to do a 10. So we do 10s, and they're successful. I've got that little 10 I set up for the little old lady in the nursing home who we hoped was going to stop by today, and she did not. So that's kind of disappointing. The nursing home has not been willing to let us bring the tank over and give it to her, but that's a 10. It's been set up now for at least a month and doing really well. But a 20 tall or a 29, 29 is probably the very best starter tank for a beginner. If they can handle the size for salt or freshwater, a 29 gallon is really ideal as a starter tank.
And it's one you can pick up on the dollar per gallon sales when they come around, which is fairly often.
Exactly
so
right. Yeah.
gotta love
I've
that.
got a link. I've got a link. Can I post it on? I think I can. I have to post it on YouTube.
If you post it there, is it a page you want me to share?
Yeah.
Yeah, alrighty. Yeah, if you post it in there, I'll grab it and I will screen share it. Kelly Bender says 29 was my first, 29 gallon was my first planted tank. And see, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And hello, Kelly. Glad to have you here.
Yeah, the thing that's nice about it is it's tall enough to be able to do big plants in. You can do an Amazon sword in a 29 gallon tank.
Yeah. I don't.
Blue diamond platinums, great fish. How pretty.
Danigan Aquatic says, and hey, Kenny, by the way, glad to have you here. So I say start with 125 gallon and go up from there.
There you go.
Just saying. Hey, I'm not going to say you're wrong on that one.
That's a fishman talking.
Yeah. If you could do it, by all means, go for it. I think that would probably end up with a lot more 125 gallon tanks on Craigslist if everybody started with 125 gallon before they learned the.
Let me back up the left.
Yeah,
I agree with Lefty that the aqua soil is a marketing gimmick, and it's one that was started with the aquascape systems, aquascape plants. It wasn't until growing plants in tanks became a thing, other than aquascaping, that the dirted plant began to really come into its own. When I have somebody call me up or come in and they've got aquascaping material and they want to know why the water's full of nitrates, why they can't keep it clean, why the plants aren't grown, why, I tell them simple. Put 2 inches of sand on top of it and you'll be good to go. And it works every time, like a charm.
When in doubt, add more sand.
That's it. One more inch of sand. You got a problem at that inch of sand.
Yeah. And I in no way mean to discredit anybody. Like I said, I've got just an inch of gravel with plants growing there. You can grow plants in just about anything. The health and quality and ease of doing so varies a lot. But you can make it work in just about any environment. But why fight it when it could be so simple? Lefty's saying, can you ask Father Fish why he thinks there's so much hate online for the under gravel filter?
Hold on a minute.
Absolutely.
Why is there so much hate for it? Okay, without getting political, if you don't mind, why is there so much hate for Donald Trump? I think it's the same answer. People get vested in a given position, in a given product, and they don't want to change.
Right. You get something in your head, and that is what it is, and that's all it can be.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's just sheer bigotry.
Oh, and I
really don't want to say more than that.
Right. Absolutely. But that goes for a lot of things. You know, we all have our preferences, and not necessarily just for filtration styles, but you know, I favorite tank sizes. Even I could sit here and argue all day long that a 40 breeder is better than a 55, hands down, every
Oh, yeah.
situation. But they're, you know, we all have things that we like, and those are the things that we tend to try because we like them. And so those are the things that we stand by and that we back because we have tried them. So we can say, hey, I've been doing this for X amount of time. This is the way to do it. And yeah, it may work, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's the best and or only way. I like to think there are a lot of different ways that we can do the same thing.
I think we hit it out of the park with Lefty.
Yeah. Rhett Massey, hey Rhett, how are you?
Did you find that link?
Did it come up? Seen it.
I think it may be too big. I see it, but it's not posting.
Okay.
What's up? Uh-oh. No, what size do you want? 1 inch?
I think that's like.
I can order them. Yeah, I can get them in a day or two. Tell me how many you need. I'll get them in.
I know I just need to, but I'm trying to get it today, but I don't know really anywhere to have it.
Go down to the boat supply place down on South Trail. Yeah, the what's it called? The marina. It's not a marina. What is that called? The boat store.
West Marine?
West
That'd be
Marine.
nice.
They should have them. Talking about bulkheads. Guy wants bulkheads.
I need to get some. I've got a whole bunch of plumbing I need to get, but that reminded me I need to get some bulkheads. Where is it? The other Tiffany said, Fisherman Fever, if you have time, could you please ask Father Fish if he has ever tried aquaponics?
No. No, I have not.
Is there any particular reason that you have avoided it, or is it just it hasn't happened?
I've not avoided it. I just haven't had the interest or the inclination to do it. I've not been motivated to do it. I've thought about it. You know, I've had various kinds of plants growing in my tanks. But I've never, we're going to have to screw that in because it'll fall out. Okay.
Yeah. Hello, Holly Gibbs. Holly's going to catch the replay, but wanted to say hi. So go ahead, Father Fish.
Yeah, fantastic freaks in terms of a dirt tank. Would it be all right to get dirt out of a river or lake, or would that be unwise? Asking because I live very close to the Missouri. Not only should you get your dirt out of the Missouri River, you want to get out and dig down, get mud that never goes dry, and then get sand from the same place if you can. Don't do anything to it. Don't treat it. Don't rinse it. Don't wash it. Don't do a thing to it. Put it in the bottom of the tank. Cap it with 2 inches of sand. Slowly and carefully fill it. That will give you a tank that is established from day one. There's nothing in there that's going to cause you a problem.
And it's always nice when you can go the natural route with things.
It's got some beautiful darks.
Chevy Fish said the great thing about this hobby is that there are many ways to do things and get them done with success, and there are many correct answers to the question. Absolutely, I agree, Chevy. I try to look at the and possibilities versus the it has to be done this way. Go back. Somebody mentioned, yeah, you can't market replacement cartridges for under gravel filters. Well, they tried to. They had the little carbon pop-in filters for the top of the under gravels.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And tell you frankly, that's really what's happened to the hobby. The attempt to create resale
Mhm.
cartridge filters, food. Food's a perfect example. All of the processed foods. They're all an attempt to create follow-up sales, get people coming back over and over again, which for my money is the wrong way to do the hobby. That's merchandising the hobby. And I don't think there's anything, I can't think of anything off the top of my head that has been done to merchandise aspects of the hobby that has been genuinely beneficial. I think all of it has been a problem or created problems for the hobbyist fish keeper.
Absolutely. And you had talked about this a little bit on one of your streams the other day. But the hobbyists and the companies look at the hobbyists in terms of the high turnover rate. So they look and go, well, we've only got, the average lifespan, I think, is 6 months for an aquarist, somewhere along there. And the number may have changed a little bit. But they said, well, we need to get as much money from you up front as possible.
We need to get an AC unit to do this whole back end of the building that's going to actually do the job. Right now, we have nothing. If you could take a look at what's there and give us your best suggestion.
Add one to this one? I think there's two of them on that.
Neither of them work.
I don't know.
Right. And I don't want to fix it. I've got this for in here. There's a blower up there, and there's a blower down there. This one is wired wrong, doesn't work. That one works, but it never is put out enough to actually drop the temperature below 85. So I'd like to get something that'll do that back end. Not worried about this.
Okay. You ever heard of mini splits? So you got this cut out like this. You put a head unit there and the unit out back, and it'll cool like 1,000 times better than this is, and it'll save you a lot more money than what these things do.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that. I'm online right now.
Okay.
Get online. Yeah.
Oh,
Got a
look around,
fish.
what you got. Thank you.
It's an aquaponics system.
Yes, we do. Yep. All right. Sorry about that. We're trying to get Nick in here, and I have a guy here. Close that door, Frank.
All good, all good. The other Tiffany was saying, I set up a flow-through system, and this was back on the aquaponics. I'm trying to understand all of the biology behind aquariums to know how to balance an aquaponics system. So do you have anything that you would say that could be applied to her aquaponics system from the aquarium aspect? Even though you haven't done aquaponics, I'm sure you're still familiar with the concepts and ideas and all that.
Yeah, I just don't think it works in an aquarium environment because the basic principle of aquaponics is to get all the nutritions dissolved in the water. And in an aquarium, you want to do just the opposite. You want to get all the nutrients out of the water. And the substrate.
Absolutely. Let me get my chat pulled back up. There we go. So yeah, that was one of the things that we talked about, or you had mentioned it before, and I've talked about it several times, and that's that companies want to sell as much as possible up front to you, not necessarily getting you into the hobby the right way, just getting as much money as they can at first, because we lose so many people after a very, very short time being in the hobby. So I feel that's a huge downfall.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And they also want to get people coming back buying new filter cartridges every week.
Yeah.
And overfeeding their fish so they can buy new canisters of food every week, and on and on and on. Whatever they can think of, they get people to rebuy. That's the way they try to sell it. And none of it's any good. None of it's any good.
Hello, Ian Atkins. Good to see you. Yeah, it's. I mean, and I understand there has to be a business aspect to it, but you can still have a business and do things with good intentions. I guess is my thing. You know,
Here's the thing. Back before all this stuff was being marketed, when fish stores were selling fish, they were getting rich. They were making $1 million a year selling fish. A few tanks, some sand or gravel or whatever, and fish. They weren't even selling fish food, or at least not very much of it.
So Carrie Habercorn is saying, if I wanted to buy aquatic soil, any recommendations? I like the fluval stratum. I've used it a good bit. Again, that's going to be one that everybody's going to have their own preference. I've used a couple of different kinds. I will say try and avoid the ones that look like little BBs. That stuff is horrible to work with in my experience, and I have just not had good luck with it overall in general. So if you were to recommend an aquatic soil for Carrie, Father, what would your recommendation be?
I don't use them. My recommendation is potting soil, black cow, and some peat moss.
There we go. I kind of figured that was what was coming. Casey Sicklets, hey, good to see you. So we've got about 18 minutes left. Did you have anything that you wanted to get into today? I know that we got kind of a late start. I appreciate you joining me today with everything that you've got going on. I didn't know if you had any topics in mind that you wanted to discuss. I've hijacked most of the discussion.
Let me just follow through on one thing. Zen Ginger raised an issue about anaerobics, that people don't like deep sand beds because of anaerobics and because they escape. The reality is when and if the tank gets stirred up and the anaerobics escape into the water column, they dissipate into the air immediately. I have never lost a fish, never lost a tank from a deep substrate getting stirred up. So there's a kind of a bias against anaerobics. And I think that's the real issue about deep sand beds, because deep sand beds depend on and are put together for the sake of creating anaerobics. Now, the basic principle that you got to understand is that the roots of planted tanks create an anaerobic layer, a very fine one, encapsulating them in order to break down the waste for the cilia on the roots to be able to take in nutrition. So anaerobics are a fundamental aspect of growing plants. You can do it in aquaponics for the very same reason. The cilia on the roots create an anaerobic environment, even in the water column, that breaks down that waste so it can be absorbed by the plants. So anaerobics are your friend. They're not an enemy.
Yeah, and I think she was saying she was tapping back into the reasons that she's heard people say they don't like under gravel filters.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, I was. Yeah, I know you're absolutely right, Zen. Did not mean to infer otherwise.
Yeah.
I understood that's what you were saying. I hope I didn't infer that that was your opinion. That was not my intention.
But and again, it's one of those you hear something, and that's why I like to try different things for myself. I enjoy trying as much different stuff as I can come across to give it a go. That's why I have, and I know this is a cringe for you, but I have bare bottom tanks. I have dirted tanks. I have gravel only tanks. I have tanks with sand and gravel on top. I have tanks with gravel on the bottom and sand on top. I have it just about
You
any.
just can't make up your mind, can you?
I like to experiment with a lot of different stuff and see how it works.
Fantastic freaks. Yes, by all means, take plants from the river. And Tom Patterson, yes, it is the Wallstad method. And someday somebody will do a study on Wallstad and find out why it is that she refuses to argue her case in public. The woman has been defamed and slandered and assaulted so many times by so many people in so many places that she simply avoids it all. Can't blame her.
Yeah, I say I could definitely understand that. I have one final thing regarding the collecting the plants. As long as it's legal in your area, I'll
That's
put
right.
that disclaimer on there.
Yeah, there are illegal plants. Indoor fishing inside. It doesn't matter. The worm casings are enrichment. Use as much or as little as you like. Make sure you cap it with 2 inches of sand.
I
2
think
inches of sand's key.
castings. See that good? Yeah, and that's why I've had to go back and add some sand to mine. Like you said, when in doubt, add more sand. But even I did the cardinal sin, if you will, and I gravel backed some of the crap off the top before I added more sand, just because I didn't want the detritus kicking about everywhere in the water column when I was trying to get the additional sand cap on it.
Yeah, if you're getting detritus, it's because the sand's not deep enough.
Right.
You need to add more sand so it'll go down in it.
Yeah. Well, and I will say that YouTube makes a difference on some of the things to do. It's like, well, I probably wouldn't have gravel back it. I probably wouldn't have sucked the detritus off the surface if I hadn't needed to film that tank in the very near future. I would have just tossed the sand in and let it lie for a bit, but we know how that goes. Sometimes you have to pretty things up for the camera, so that can change methods, unfortunately.
Thank you so much for inviting me on.
Oh, it's
Sorry,
always a pleasure to have you.
We had a few little catastrophes that I was in the middle of. As soon as I backed out, they were able to get it taken care of. So we're all good now.
Absolutely.
Playing hero again.
Casey Stickland say nitrate eating anaerobic bacteria is a beautiful thing. Yes, absolutely.
You bet. Thank you, guys. Nice to be on with you.
And we've still got about 12 minutes before we could go over to Big J. He starts his up at 1:30 our time. I've had John before, and we've talked dirty tanks and that type of stuff. And I generally kind of pick your brain. But is there anything that you would like to talk about that you've got coming up?
I beg your pardon?
Is there anything that you would like to talk about, or anything you've got coming up on the Father Fish channel or in the store, since I usually hijack you?
We're going to do a saltwater tank this week. We're going to do a natural saltwater tank this week. So we'll be starting that Wednesday with our live stream and then continuing it through the week by actually setting the tank up. But we'll be out collecting on Wednesday.
Well, and on that saltwater tank you're setting up, you're actually going and getting the sand and all of that and the mud.
You bet. You bet.
I think
right out of the bay.
I think that's
Right
good.
out of the Gulf.
I'm looking forward to seeing that. I unfortunately don't have the luxury anymore, but when I did live down in Florida, I miss wild collecting and being able to get out into the ocean and all of that good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I wish I
Fun.
had been older and in the hobby when I was there, because the possibilities in my mind just seem to be limitless with all the fun things you could do as an aquarist living near the ocean.
Chris John is asking about fine river gravel. You want to make it 3 to 4 inches deep. Make sure it's deep enough to keep the water out of the mud. But yeah, it's fine. Just make it extra deep. I got to run. I got somebody here waiting for me.
All right.
Happy to be with you guys.
Well, I
Thank you,
appreciate
sir.
it, Father Fish. Real quick, can you ask her favorite plant for a dirted tank?
Gee whiz. Favorite plant for a dirty tank. I've been getting a lot of plants from Dustin lately. A lot of red plants and other really pretty stuff. Probably my favorite are the Aponogetans. I love all of the Aponogetans.
Well, I appreciate that, Father Fish. I know you've got a lot going on and windows falling out and madness. So I thank you for taking the time out to join us today. I look forward to talking to you
Happy to be
again.
with you. Thank you. It's been wonderful being here. I appreciate you. Appreciate everything you do.
Oh, you
By
as
the
well.
way, I'm still getting whatever it's called, still getting deletions
The Purge.
on my membership from YouTube.
Well,
Got some last. Been happening every day.
well, that'll hopefully level out for you in the near future.
You would think so. Yeah, it's over 50 now. I'm
Goodness.
I'm staying in a range.
Right. I had that happen to me. But Fantastic Freaks, thank you for the $2 super chat. I did miss it. I just wanted to get the question to Father Fish before he had to leave. But thank you for the $2 super chat, Fantastic Freaks, asking for the favorite plants.
Thank you, guys. Great to be here.
Thank you, Father Fish. There we go. There we go. I made it easier for you, Father. That way you don't have to search for that finicky button. But let me do this. There we go. Thank you. I really do appreciate it, Fantastic Freaks. If I had to pick a favorite, it's going to be not, I don't know. My favorite plant right now, I think, is it's probably between the Scarlet Temple and the Pogostemon stellatus octopus. And I say that because those are two plants I have not had before. So anytime I get something new, that kind of ends up being my thing at the moment. So it just kind of depends. Before those came in, I probably would have said the Crinum calamastratum. I'm sure I just said that wrong. But the Crinum being my favorite, and I'm still loving it because it's getting really long and flowy. I'm trying to get all this off of here. We'll get there eventually. So I've actually got this one, and it's got that secondary one coming up, but it's getting a nice long flowy grow out to it. Let me get my chat pulled back up here. There's the link for Big J's channel. KG Cichlid says all I can catch is crabs. Yeah, it's always a shame when that happens. I did have a link pulled up for that book. I meant to say that out loud, but I'm sure everybody caught that. If I cannot find it again. Oh, don't see it. Oh, there we go. The Ecology of the Planted Aquarium is a book I have. So much information, it can be hard to take it all in. So for those of you that are listening on the lurk or on the replay, The Ecology of a Planted Aquarium. And that was from Ian Atkins saying that. Yeah, I appreciate you all being here. Chris from Multi-Tech Addiction is working and lurking. I appreciate that, Chris. Danican Aquatics say, James, other than plecos, which we all know you love, what would you say is your favorite fish? That is going to be piranha. Piranha's been one of those that have fascinated me, and that's kind of why when people say they're boring fish, I usually tend to respond with, well, are you keeping them correctly? Because if you're keeping them in an environment that they enjoy and feel comfortable in, they're usually not boring fish. No more so than any other fish can be boring. I mean, we could say that the guppies are boring because they're just little and shoot all over the place. They don't spend time with you, and you could go to the opposite end of the spectrum and say, well, Oscars are boring because it's just one big fish that wants to sit there and look at you in the corner. But I love piranhas. I eventually will have a blue diamond piranha one day. The goal is to eventually collect one myself, which is why I haven't purchased one. But that would be my other favorite fish. But yeah, plecos were an unexpected love. I'll put it that way. Piranha have kind of always been my favorite, and then when I got back into the hobby, it wasn't all about the common pleco, the Hypostomus plecostomus. You had bristlenose, and there's a lot more pleco variety in my area than there was 8 or 9 years ago. Yes, that book, The Ecology of the Plated Aquarium, is by Dana Wallstead. Absolutely. Ow, don't know what I kicked. But, so yeah, piranha. I've always enjoyed them. I found them fascinating. I don't think they're a boring fish if you keep them right. They can be extremely skittish if they're not comfortable in the aquarium, but it's just like any other fish. You just want to make sure that you set the tank up in accordance with what is going to be the best for that fish and what's going to keep that fish happy. Click on that. There we go. And get my chat back up here. All right. Now I do want to run through real quick and say thank you to everybody for the super chats before we end it. I've got about 3 minutes left. And again, a huge thank you to Father Fish. I know that he had a lot going on today. It had some things that needed to be addressed, but I appreciate him taking the time to still show up today. Been talking to some people, and we're going to have some really cool guests coming up in the near future. I'll keep that on the download for now, but I did actually get a message from someone directly before this saying that they would be happy to be a guest. So keep on the lookout for that. Next Saturday, we are going to have the 1,500 subscriber giveaway. I want to say thank you to Diego Petzotic / Multiple Aquariums. He's actually going to sponsor part of that giveaway. He's got a donation, and we'll talk a little bit more about that on Thursday. Guppy Gurus, love you, Fish Fam. Absolutely. Peter, love you. Get this pulled up here real quick. It wants to be slow when I'm running out of time. Any other time, no problem. Thank you, Chris John, for saying hit those likes. Peter, absolutely. I would love to have you back on, dude. It's always awesome hanging out and talking to you. Just let me know what works for you. You know my usual stream times. If none of those work for you, then we can always work out something different. But you just let me know when you're available. As of right now, I don't have anybody scheduled 100% set, even though I'm talking to several people. So if you say, hey, let's do this day, then I'm absolutely up for that. Because yeah, that was a fun talk. And a lot's happened in a short period of time that I'd love to talk to you about. Here we go. Almost there. Just keep swimming. There's my copyright strike, right? So we have, let me make sure I get this right. I believe it started with the Zen Ginger, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, the Zen Ginger, $2 super sticker. Zen Ginger with $20 super chat from Mr. Zen as well. Fantastic Freaks with the $5 super chat. Again, I really enjoyed your live stream the other day. Carrie Habercorn with the $5 super chat. Thank you again, Carrie. Fantastic Freaks with another $2. And then yet another $2. The Fantastic Freaks, normally I don't push the memberships, but I would say since you donate basically every live stream, I would recommend instead of that next $5 super chat down the road when you're about to do one of those, or even the $2 super chat, become a member because you're missing out on some cool stuff, and I think you deserve to see it as much as you contribute. I thank you, everybody. But if you're not a member and I've got membership starting at $2 a month. So that would give you access, and I feel it would give you more value, considering that you donate at least $2 every week that I've seen. So just consider that, because you're missing out on some cool little videos and things behind the scenes. Hi, Brad. Bye, Brad. That's going to wrap it. It's 1:30, so let's go over to see Big J. I want to say again, thank you, Father Fish, for being here. Moderator team, thank you all for doing an awesome job. Always very much appreciated. Thank you to the lurkers and the listeners and the replayers, the people that commented and brought up some good questions and conversation today. I appreciate you all being here. And I will see you all Thursday on the Chattanooga Ed channel for the Nocturnal Feeding Show. So until next time, keep your fish healthy, keep yourselves healthy, catch yourself a little fish room feed.